Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. Let's just check audio here. Sounds good right now. Perfect. But yeah, it wasn't working earlier. Man, that was frustrating. So, today we're going to be doing June gaming news, and we're going to be chatting about this. It is, again, quite a long one. I was getting the idea of doing June news at a higher interval, higher or more frequent interval instead of just once a month, maybe bi-weekly or weekly. And I have a poll right now on YouTube. If you could go to Gaming Garbage 22 and actually go to the community tab and then take some time to vote, that would be much appreciated. You guys got, about a weekish, a little less than a week to decide what you would like. Right now it's weekly, so yeah, please vote. We only got a few votes right now, and I'd love to see more. But yeah, once a month is just, it's too long, and a lot of this stuff has already happened or come out already. And some channels are already doing it as the day it comes out because they got that amount of time. So I wanted to do it a little more frequently. It's also a lot of time just to research. There's so many things and articles and videos to go through. It's hours and hours of time for once a month. So please go to the community tab on YouTube, and which, if you're having trouble finding it, there's a link to on my Twitch homepage, and it can take you right there. Yeah, please vote. So, June news. Quite a bit happened. There's some other things to chat about too, where I might make a separate video to dig in a little deeper. But first, I know all of us struggle with storage space on our consoles. And so this is at least for you Xbox folks. If you have... Hold on, let me check my audio again. Perfect. Alright, it still sounds good. So, yeah, if you have a Series X or S, the external memory cards that are solid-state drives, the 512 gigabyte, the 1 terabyte, and the 2 terabyte cards, they're all becoming a little cheaper. They're still pretty expensive, but the 1 terabyte is actually starting to become fairly affordable a little bit. And every once in a while, Walmart or Fred Meyer or Best Buy or like GameStop, they have sales on these because, again, they're not selling them fast enough. They're getting too much inventory. They're not moving those external memory cards. So yeah, keep a lookout for deals, especially this Black Friday. So Black Friday is going to be right after Thanksgiving in November. And so if you want to start saving up your money now to get a external hard drive, if you don't have one, and these are specific, I want to warn you about scams too. And if it's, if they're 150 or less, it's probably a scam for a 1 terabyte drive. So really do your research. There's not a lot of these out there. People that have already purchased these don't want to get rid of these because they're so expensive. The 1 terabyte was $220. The 2 terabyte was $440. And the 512, I want to say, was 170 or something like that. So these are expensive, folks. They are a little cheaper. Base price is a little cheaper now. They're just even, $200, $400, and there are starting to be some sales, so just take a look out for those. And yeah, these are made for Seagate. So far, if you're really looking to expand your storage for Xbox One backwards compatibility games and for Series X games, then go ahead and, let's see, it's at Walmart. It's in their electronics section, of course. And they have a Seagate bundle right now where they have a hard drive that's 2 terabytes that can hold all of your non-Series X stuff for you and play it directly from there, which I have one. And then it also comes with a 1 terabyte solid-state memory card. And that's for 200 and I want to say that's $250 right now, which honestly that's really flipping good. So that's a good deal. So that's at Walmart. They sell out pretty quickly, but last time I saw they had a few in there, like they restocked them over the weekend. So anyway, Just wanted to let you guys in on that. Let's see. So yeah, June news was pretty busy. We'll get through it as quickly as we can. And this will be anything and everything between games to pre-orders to how games are scoring so far, anything to change with PlayStation or Xbox or the Switch. We got showcases on this one. And yeah, I mean anything and everything gaming pretty much. I don't have everything on here because otherwise it would be way too big. But let's go ahead and get started. So Street Fighter 6 has a ton of players on Steam. They're showing 66,000 players concurrently. And that number just keeps to be growing. So congratulations to them with this is the best Street Fighter they've ever sold so far. And yeah, the sales numbers are blowing 4 or 5 out of the water, which is great. And yeah, it's a really big success for them. So people really seem to be enjoying it. And yeah, that's awesome. Final Fantasy 16, which I know, I think this already came out. But Final Fantasy 16, their pre-orders were way down. They were actually down a lot more than even the Final Fantasy 15. So Square Enix was worried about this, and then possibly for good reason. So Final Fantasy 16, from what I've seen, I of course have not played it personally myself, but Final Fantasy 16 had some kind of like, not necessarily bad, but just like a different gameplay. I mean, if you liked the Metal Gear Solid or you liked the other Japanese RPGs, the cutscenes we all know can be pretty long, right? And there can be hours of cutscenes in there. And Final Fantasy is no different. And Final Fantasy 16, they have it to where during the action, during the gameplay, you just blip right into a cutscene, and it kind of throws you off a bit in the combat. And then they even do this too in boss fights, which it's kind of like, that sucks. And so you kind of have this cinematic push the correct button in the right time frame to defeat the boss at the end, and so the game kind of even holds your hand for the bosses. You don't actually get to completely fight and earn them on your own. You got to go through a button sequence in order to defeat bosses in the game, so that's really disappointing. Visually, it looks really good. Not a lot of issues with graphics or like dropping frames or anything like that. It seems to run really good on PlayStation 5. PC, I don't know. But so far, Final Fantasy 16 there weren't a lot of pre-orders. Not as many people were excited about it. And as we got to see in the showcases, it looked good, but the story wasn't as drawing this time. And so it's suffering, I think, a little bit for that. And then, yeah, some people really enjoy it, but most people are just kind of like, it's another Final Fantasy game. Let's see. I'll have cards for these. So we had Xbox Showcase and Starfield Direct. The cards will be right up here. And, yeah, enough said on that. Please take a look at those if you haven't watched them yet, or haven't watched them at all. Definitely take a look at Xbox and Starfield. Out of all the 5 showcases I watched, which is a lot of hours, in my opinion, those are the best showcases. Those are the most exciting. So go ahead and take a look at those. Also, we got wind that EA is partnering with Nike to make swoosh or .swoosh.Nike, and this is a NFT exchange. And so their partnership is to bring NFTs to esports. Isn't that exciting? So Madden is literally coming around the corner in August. We got like a month and a half, almost 2 months. And that's going to be really disappointing. Again, how integrated, we don't know. But what we do know is that the clothing will be individualized. So the helmet and the jerseys and the shoes and etc. Those will be NFTs, and those will be in current and future games of esports. And man, what a piss in the Cheerios. I mean, that's so disheartening. Here we thought NFTs were gone, right? Here we thought they were done, but no. They're keeping them alive, folks. And there's a card for this too. I did a video that's more in depth, actually reading from Nike or swoosh.nike. I took time to investigate a little deeper, so that here's a card right up here of a video that you can click on and watch that. I think it's about 11-12 minutes. Diablo 4. It's been going very, very well. Servers have been very, very high. I think it's the highest grossing game, or the highest grossing Diablo, again, they've ever had. They did have some server issues. There were some DOS attacks. It really screwed up a lot of stuff, too, right at the start. I mean, people paid extra to get early access, and then it didn't matter because the servers were all messed up. And there were a lot of people, too, that wanted to play because they allowed a kind of like a drag in a friend. You know, the friend didn't have to necessarily buy it, but you could invite them in, and they could kind of like download the game and play with you for like a period of time or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but yeah, a lot of people hopped onto the servers, and then there were DOS attacks on top of that. And this is going to be an issue that I think is going to be more common. DOS attacks are one of the easiest hacks that you can do, and all that is just a denial of service. You just create so many attempts to access the servers, it overloads the servers, and they just can't keep up. And then you got to shut them all down, basically restart everything, make sure everything's working like it should, and then reboot the servers, get them back online so players can play. And it's not overly time consuming, but you know, it can take a day or a few days to fix that. But yeah, one of the concerns that I have is, like, if you're going to be paying for extra or like earlier access to a game, like Starfield has one with the Super COVID edition. If you pay an extra $30, you can get an extra 5 days early. And, you know, for people that want to do that, they can. Hogwarts Legacy did this, you know, 3 days early. That was the first game I ever heard of this year. And, you know, they had a lot of sales on that. People were willing to pay the extra money. And I don't know if I necessarily like that. Again, people can choose what they want to do with their money. But, you know, now we're not paying even $70 for a game anymore. We're now paying $80, $100 for a game just so we can play a few days early. And I guarantee you, people are going to look back on it and be like, you know, that was kind of dumb. I just threw some money down the drain just to play a few days early. And, man, seriously, if you can't wait a few days to play a game, man, the rest of life is going to be really tough for you. All those other goals and everything. But this brings up into question, too, that if you did, you know, pay money to play early and the servers are messed up, well, I mean, what are you going to do? You just got to sit there, realize you blew your money on nothing, and you still have to wait. So just be aware of that, folks. So far, Diablo 4, yeah, the scores have been in the high 80s and low 90s. Diablo 2, the store is actually quite atrocious. So these aren't microtransactions anymore. These are anywhere from, you know, $20 to $30 for some, you know, skins or armor sets. And with people that have played the game and have talked about this on their own TV news show, like the Angry Joe show, they see a lot of people running around with these armor sets. And it's pretty impressive. And so far, Diablo has made over 600 billion, or excuse me, wow, that'd be insane, wouldn't it? Has made over $600 million with game sales and with in-store purchases. And that was within like the first week of the game. So that's pretty impressive, but that's also a lot of people buying macro transactions. And man, that's not what I want money to go to. But, you know, again, people like their colorful stuff, and, you know, what are you going to do? You know, and it's okay for a few, but, you know, when you're basically spending half of the game, half of the cost of the base game on an armor set, that's getting pretty ridiculous. And I don't want them to focus on that, because some armor sets, some skins for a few months or for a year before something else and something better, quote-unquote better, comes out, it's really leading down a path to where the companies, and we were already seeing this, the companies are just going to make skins, colors, and textures and sell them to you. Like Blood Bowl 3 is probably one of the worst examples, because we're talking like $700-800 to totally outfit an entire team in Blood Bowl 3. And like, who has that kind of money? Um, and I'm afraid of the industry just getting to a point where they just go for the people that have the money. About that, folks. I had my batteries die. Let me make sure my audio is okay. Perfect. Yep, audio still sounds pretty good. So, let's just keep on going. But yeah, this is a concern that I have, is just these gaming companies are just going to be like, well, we just want to make as much money as we can because that's what matters. And they're not actually making real content. They're not making missions. They're not making any extra vehicles or any extra characters to play with. They're not, they're not actually making anything. They're just saying, hey, here's a new color texture. Knock yourself out. And in my opinion, that isn't content. If, studios want to have a store with some of that stuff, fine. But you can't even really earn a lot of the stuff in the game anymore. You have to pay for it. And I even mentioned this, which I'm going to do again. I'm going to do my little retro look at Mercenaries over again. I don't like it as much. I was pretty tired when I got off of work, so I'll be doing that one over. But I mentioned that, there were like a few different skins in the game that you could have for your character and run around as as a different look, which is fun, right? Dressing up your character, or earning gear like in Skyrim or something, or finding it. But, to the point where you have to pay to change the look of your character, that's really starting to get pretty ridiculous. And that shouldn't be behind a paywall. And the company shouldn't be spending so much time trying to make sure that their store works, that they're making just a few things that really don't take long to make, and never giving you really any extra content to run around or anything. And yeah, that's really just kind of disappointing, so that they made so much money off of microtransactions. Let's see. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has been taken from BioWare. So the game isn't canceled, but BioWare is no longer working on the project. EA has now given it to Broadsword. So Broadsword isn't super well known. The games that they have made, people have seemed to really enjoy. But Broadsword is not necessarily a well-known studio. They kind of make a kind of like a niche market for certain games, but yeah, the games that they make, I guess, are actually pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this works out. I don't know if the entire project is being is again being taken from scratch and just being started over, or if they're just picking up where BioWare left off and trying to salvage the project. But apparently something was going on. EA was like, no, you're not going to be doing this anymore. In my opinion, it's just to allow BioWare to focus on the current games, the other games that they're working on, and that they could better utilize all of their devs that were working on the remake and actually use them on the games that are going to be coming out later in the future. Let's see. Ooh, this is kind of a big one. Xbox Game Pass is going up from $15 a month to $17 a month for console users. PC, I think, is only going up $1 maybe, from like not 10 to 11 a month. And the $1 trials, they're gone. So I think I mentioned this too in the previous gaming news segment for May. But yeah, now you'll have to get a code from someone that already has Xbox Game Pass, and you'll be able to try it for like a week and see if you like it or not. So if any of you actually want to share any of those free codes with me, that would be great, because I would love to play Redfall and just tear it a new one. Yeah, if you have free codes, and you get 5 a year, and yeah, I'll definitely take some. Absolutely. Fart around on Game Pass and try some other games and see what I think of them and put them on the channel. So you can go ahead and send those codes to Don't Tread on Thee, just like it is on on Twitch to my gamer tag on Xbox. Let's see, Xbox Series S is having a new console, so a new version. It'll be a 1 terabyte version. This will be $350. It is black instead of white, and there are no other changes to the hardware. The layout is exactly the same. So all they did is they took the hard drive, which these solid states are honestly extremely small. If you've never held one in your hand, you could probably fit about 4 or 5 of these hard drives in your hand. They're quite teeny. And so yeah, that's all they swapped out. The motherboard, all of the RAM, the CPU, GPU, and, the wireless card, all that stuff is exactly the same. And there's no performance boost. There's no changes to the software necessarily, except to accept a new hard drive. So that's it. So if you're looking to just get a series, an Xbox Series, the S's that are white are going to be cheaper. You can also find used ones for about $200 right now, just about all day on like eBay and Facebook Market. And honestly, I don't think the 1 terabyte is worth it. I think getting the Series X with better GPU, CPU, and RAM is a lot more worth your money. And this too is also going to go up in price for most people around the world. So instead of $500, it's going to be $530. So if you're having a tough time finding one, might want to try a little harder. You can still get used ones, but the used ones right now are selling for $450 on like eBay and Facebook Market. So, but yeah, if you just want to get one or get started on Xbox Series, because they're not really going to make Xbox One games anymore either. They're not going to support that. That was news too. Microsoft is no longer going to make Xbox One. It is just going to be Xbox Series games. So if you want to switch over and have a cheap option, you can get the white ones, and they are definitely going to get cheaper as that 1 terabyte version black comes out. Let's see, Ubisoft Showcase. So I'll have another card right here so you can watch this if you wish. Honestly, the quick rundown is that it's not worth watching. Most of the games that they showed are not very good. The presentations are very slow. They have someone come out and walk on stage for every single presentation, and it's, the person talking for 5-10 minutes about their game. They do show gameplay, which is nice for most of these games. They also had a TV show in there, which I did not feel was relevant. And then the best thing at the end is Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar 2 at the beginning, which is the best. But yeah, the layout that they had, how they presented stuff, some of the games too didn't really seem ready. And a lot of the games we've already seen if you've watched PlayStation or Summer Game Fest. And so there's not really a point. But hey, if you want to, you can take a look at it. I covered it for you guys. It was really fun, believe me. Let's see, next. So this is on GameStop. So there's going to be a few things on this for GameStop. The current CEO has been fired. No reason has been named except for continued revenue losses. So we know GameStop has been hemorrhaging money for quite some time. The lockdowns and them going to just an online store kind of kept them alive. A lot of people, too, were just stuck at home with extra cash. And so why not buy video games? Why not? You can't go outside anyway, depending on where you lived. And so GameStop had a lot of sales. But lately, again, as things have been returning to normal, thank goodness, they are just not losing money. This last quarter, they lost $50 million compared to the same quarter last year. So they aren't just losing money quarter to quarter, they're also trending down during the same seasons year over year. So they're definitely losing money. And $50 million isn't a ton. They still have a fairly good stack of cash reserves, supposedly. But I gotta tell you some other things too. Is this is why they're now making their pro membership $25 a month instead of $15. This is why too they don't have the pre-order, like the midnight releases for pre-orders for certain games. The only one that they have really had around here where I live was Tears of the Kingdom. That was it. And like a small store that, like I had one of the folks chatting with me, and they said normally we get maybe 10 pre-orders for a game, any given game, but Tears of the Kingdom was like, there was over 50, or some stores had over 100 pre-orders, and so they did kind of like a release for these folks, and they ran out. I mean, they sold them all, because there were people too that also came that didn't have pre-orders, but they were just there for the release. But yeah, like there aren't really pre-order releases anymore. Games are not pre-ordered as often as they used to be, and then too, we know that Microsoft and Sony and even Nintendo, they've all made changes to be more digital. And some games that have been coming out, a lot of these indie games, they're just digital too. They never go on a physical disc. And a lot of the AAAs have been doing this as well. I mean, we even know with Modern Warfare 2 remake that came out last November, the bulk of the game was not even on the physical disc that you bought. It was just enough to basically register that you purchased it, that you owned a legitimate disc, and then you would download the rest of the game with like 100 and whatever gigs, which is just insane. So again, it's like, what is even the point of buying a physical disc if you can't even get the whole game on there? It's getting kind of insane. And so because of this, GameStop is having trouble getting trades in, because you can't trade a digital game, and if you don't have trades, you can't sell pre-owned games because they're not there. And even my local store, they just don't have enough product coming in, and like there are sections of the walls that are empty for PlayStation and for Xbox. And we've seen too over the years, there's just more and more stuff in the store, more shelves and more little racks in the middle of the floor that aren't games, but you know, they're clothes and they're little Pops figures and I don't know, whatever else they're selling. You know what I mean? A lot of the actual product in the store isn't necessarily games anymore. So they're struggling as a company. They definitely are. They are going to also be working on closing some stores. And a couple of the local stores that are around me, they've also been firing people. Or when people quit, they don't hire someone else to fill that position. Just that position just goes away. Again, GameStop is trying to stay afloat. You know, they're a company. They got to make money. But like one of the stores around here, I was chatting with the guy that was currently there, and he said they have so few people right now and so few hours. Basically, Monday through Thursday, there's one person that runs the store. And when that person takes a lunch break, they have to shut the store down in order to take lunch. And then they reopen when lunch is over. Which that is mind-boggling, folks. Like, they can't even... Like, that store, in my opinion, is going to die maybe by the end of this year. Or definitely by next year. And I did the math. Because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they have at least 2 people, sometimes 3, that actually work on the weekend, because that's when most of their sales are. But yeah, doing the math, I mean, they only have maybe 70, 80 hours a week for the entire store, which is not a lot of hours. And hours are being cut back too. GameStop, if any of us remember, they used to open at 9 o'clock. That was pretty normal years ago, before COVID and all that. And then 10, and then 11. Well, now they're opening at 12 o'clock, and they're not staying open till 9 p.m. anymore. They worked it back to 8, or just 8 maybe on weekends. Well, now it's just 7 o'clock. And so it's like, some of these stores, they're only open for 7 hours. And it's like, good grief, what is even the point? Like, those stores are barely hanging on. And regionally around here, I've chatted with a couple of store managers, Yeah, regionally, things are just not good. Every store is suffering. Every store is not meeting requirements, except for Tears of the Kingdom, basically. And, yeah, things are really not looking good. And I've advised those store managers, it's like, look, make your resume, get ready to work somewhere else. Because this has been a sink and ship for a long time, but you can certainly see it in the details right now as that GameStop is struggling. So, if you're looking for some games in particular, keep this in your cap. Where if these stores close, they got to liquidate that product, most likely. And so, yeah, there might be some deals on headsets and controllers and shirts and whatever else you might possibly want. Consoles too, used games. Yeah, just keep an eye on that. Eventually, that's going to be coming, and some stores are going to close before other ones. But yeah, ultimately, I think GameStop is definitely going down. Because, yeah, digital games. What else are they going to do if they can't sell games, folks? Good luck. Oh, yeah, something else. Some stores in GameStop are now piloting a new program that they used to do way back in the day. But yeah, what they're doing now is they're taking old games all the way back to PlayStation 1, which is pretty insane, and also some NES games. So you can check with the store. You can ask. They are wanting to take anything, well, not anything and everything. They're wanting to take certain games that they know they can sell and make money off of, possibly consoles too, if everything works, of course. But yeah, GameStop is even starting to now have some stores where they're like, yeah, we're taking retro games now. And so this is also going to apply pressure on the already waning market of retro game stores that are independent. And they're already having a hard time, too, getting product or getting enough variety of product. And now they're going to have another competitor with GameStop now getting into that space, too. Well, let's see. Twitch. So Twitch is changing some policies. They were going to change their payouts to 50-50, where the ad revenue, 50% would go to the streamer, 50% would go to Twitch. It used to be 70-30, and enough people outcried that they ended up reversing that policy just last week. And so, but yeah, Twitch is losing money too. They've had a major layoffs at their company. They've had several hundred get fired. But still, they're limiting, Twitch is also limiting streamers on how they can make revenue. So again, that more stuff is funneled through Twitch themselves, so they can try to make more money. And some streamers really aren't going for this. Even promotions. So like if a company wants you to promote an energy drink, now there's more regulations through Twitch, with Twitch saying, oh, well, the ad can only be this big and can only be in these certain sections of the screen because we want to promote our stuff, of course. And so, yeah, some of these streamers, the big ones, they're moving. Or they're having plans to move. So this includes XQC, Amaranth, which she is disgusting, and also Ninja. And there's probably going to be some other ones too in the future. And so Twitch is just being too regulatory, and there's just continuing to tighten the noose most of the time. And yeah, like I even watched a video where Ninja was saying that he's going to be eventually just moving over platforms. He was saying that he can't even stream on other platforms anymore. Twitch is taking it away to where you can't multicast anymore, which sucks. So even if you have the subscription or have paved the way to get to that point where you had that privilege, well, Twitch has just taken that privilege away entirely. Twitch does not want anyone, especially the big dogs, to be streaming anywhere else. They just want them solely to be on Twitch. So yeah, people are leaving. People are going to YouTube. People are going to Kicker, which is a new one. And there's some other, I'm sure there's some other ones too, but I don't know them, folks, because I'm still pretty new to this. If you couldn't tell. So yeah, the backlash has been pretty bad. Twitch has been having to adjust some things. But yeah, they're trying to make sure that they're keeping their company going. Twitch 2 is a subsidiary of Amazon. So this is really Amazon doing this. And Amazon hasn't been making very good sales either, because we know that they're canceling building permits, they're selling warehouse space, and they're firing employees all over the country. And this is because, again, Amazon is no longer making the revenue that they did during COVID. And this is having an impact on Twitch. So don't expect Twitch to get better. We still have the audio stuttering issue, which is still really frustrating, but I think that is going to be here to stay for quite some time, maybe even the rest of the year. And, you know, continue to share, folks. Continue to share the videos that you find, but again, there's no real permanent fix, and sometimes it's just not going to work. In some games, I have never gotten to work properly. In other games, some things work, but yeah, some days or time frames too, like this morning or this afternoon with trying to do gaming news. I got a little blurb of like 2.5 minutes, and just the stuttering problem is horrible. And if you don't even know what that is exactly or what that's like, go ahead and go to Twitch, my Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee, and take a look at that little 2.5 minute video for June gaming news, and it's pretty easy to hear. Let's see. So something in, Microsoft is trying to buy Activision Blizzard, which I think this needs to be an entire video in and of itself. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do it yet, but we'll see. But during the court proceedings in the United States, we found out that Microsoft, in documents that were presented during the court case, that they want to buy, listen to this, folks, Sega, Bungie, IO Interactive, Supergiant Games, Niantic, and Zynga. And those are some huge companies. IO Interactive, they have some games that are going to be coming out soon, as it is. Bungie, they do all of the Destiny stuff. Sega, they have tons of old IPs. Supergiant Games, I don't know them very good. Same with Niantic. Zynga, they're a huge mobile company. So they got a lot of experience in mobile gaming. So yeah, if they're actually, the plans, I'm pretty sure Microsoft didn't want to show their hand on this, because they're already trying to buy Activision Blizzard, which is also a huge IP. I mean, we're talking Overwatch and Call of Duty, and there's another one I was literally just thinking of. Oh, Diablo. Yeah, I mean, they would also own these IPs as well. And I definitely want to make a future video talking about the future of Xbox, because I think Microsoft has figured out something. And again, this is going to take time to build, but once they really get that coal train going, I don't think there's going to be any way to stop it. If you're any kind of a trader or long-term investor, and this is not advice, this is just my own personal opinion, is that I think Microsoft, even at $300, is cheap. $300 per share. So if you got some money laying around, I would wait for the recession to fully kick in and for stuff to kind of be over in the next year, couple of years. Hopefully that's as long as it is. But yeah, I think Microsoft is going to get to be $1,000 a stock company, and I think their valuations with what's going on is very, very low compared to the potential of where it's going to be in the future. So there will be a future video on that. Stay tuned for that. I'll hopefully do that in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, Microsoft is still going through court stuff. Everybody has approved of them, including China and the European Union, but they still have to go through the UK, which is the CMA, and they still have to go through the United States, which is what they're working through right now. I still ultimately think that this deal is going to go through, that Microsoft is going to be able to buy Activision Blizzard, but I don't think it's going to be anytime this year. And they're probably going to have to make some promises, basically, to say, yes, we'll do this, or we're not going to do that, or whatever. Put it in writing, and then the governing body will basically say, okay, we will let you buy them. So But yeah, if Microsoft is also going to buy Sega, Bungie, IO Interactive, Supergiant Games, Niantic, and Zynga, man, that is going to add a whole nother boatload of franchises and IPs to Microsoft's um, arsenal, if you will. And man, I really think they're going to become a super giant in the gaming space. Let's see. Lies of P has over 1 million downloads on their demo. And you can actually get that right now if you want. It doesn't matter if you're on PC or if you're on PlayStation or Xbox. You can download Lies of P. Lies of P is basically like a Dark Souls or like an Elden Ring-like game. And it looks pretty good. It's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of like Bloodborne. And a lot of the mechanics are the same. Things are still frustrating. Movements can be frustrating at times. I'm still getting my butt handed during the first boss and in the demo. And I've tried a few times now, and yeah, I'm just getting creamed. I can barely make it even halfway. This is going to be a single-player game, so there's not going to be any multiplayer, at least that we know of at this point. But yeah, the Lies of P's have been downloaded over 1 million times already. So there's probably going to be quite a few people that are going to be buying it. And Dark Souls at first, Demon Souls was not received very well. A few people, same with Dark Souls. Dark Souls 3, I felt like a lot of people got into Dark Souls 3. Bloodborne 2, a lot of people liked Bloodborne, like on PlayStation. But Elden Ring is really where it kicked off, and a lot of people know the name From Software now, even though they've been around since the 90s. And yeah, this is just another game from another creator making Lies of P. If you really enjoy these type of Dark Souls-like games, there's also Wulong Fallen Dynasty. That's kind of more of like a Sekiro type of style. There's also Steel Rising, which is more Dark Souls. And man, there was another one too. Oh, Neo, which is on PlayStation. So Neo 1 and 2, those are also like Sekiro as well. So if you're looking for some games to tide your time until the Elden Ring DLC comes out, you can check those ones out. Diablo Immortal. So this is a free-to-play mobile game. Frick yeah. And it's been a year already. And they have made, this is also made by Activision Blizzard, they've made over $500 million in the last 12 months. This is people buying the gems, buying the tokens, working to kind of grind that loot box system to try to get their armor pieces. And if you don't know much about how they grinded the monetization, it is so incredibly disgusting. It is like, and I worry about every game starting to become like this. And we're already kind of heading that way, but the amount of money you gotta blow is ridiculous. I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars. Some people, too, just to show, to where they could get a full upgraded 5-piece armor set, spend over $100,000. And, I mean, that is flippin' disgusting. And the fact that this free-to-play game has made over $500 million in 12 months, man, that's not what we want, folks. We don't want a pay-to-win game. We don't want games that are free that basically require you, unless you want to grind for, 8-9 months, like Overwatch 2, for a skin. Yeah, we don't want that type of stuff in our games, folks. We want real content. Stay tuned for Mercenaries, because I'm going to do that one again, and I am going to post that to YouTube, because I want to show what it used to be like. Same with Dark Souls. I made a short that I just thought was absolutely hilarious. I always think my jokes are amazing, but I mean, the short is to basically, make fun of the entire industry on how they've made just storefronts the main front of the game, the main focus. And like, there's so much work and effort put into stores, put into this crappy content of visuals, and cosmetics. It's just ridiculous. If you can earn it in game, like Sea of Thieves, okay, or even just pay for a bundle for like $20 on Sea of Thieves, whatever. I don't mind that. But when it becomes the forefront of the game, or they allow you the option, they call it an option, to skip some of the grind. You know, if you just pay a little bit of money, you can skip some of the grind and get there a little faster. But, like, the grind is getting incredibly long in some of these games. Again, 8-9 months just to grind out one armor set on Overwatch 2. That is ridiculous. That is just unprecedented. And people shouldn't be spending money on Overwatch 2. It's a joke. I think we're eventually going to get to that one too. Yeah, we are. We're going to get to that one too. But yeah, realistically, folks, microtransactions used to be $2 to $5. Now they're anywhere from $20 to $30. And this isn't just a Diablo problem. This isn't just a Call of Duty problem. This is really starting to become a main staple in the gaming industry. And I don't like it. I would rather have them make real stuff. And really, folks, nobody cares about your Golden D, right? Nobody cares about your fancy glowy armor because they're more worried about what they're wearing, not what you're wearing. It's kind of like in school when you got to give a speech. Nobody's paying attention to your speech whatsoever because they're all thinking about the speech that they have to give. I mean, yeah, nobody cares what you're wearing, folks. I'm serious. Let's see. This was interesting. So with Starfield Direct and some other interviews that Todd Howard has done from Bethesda, he has made it pretty clear that Elder Scrolls 6 is likely going to be his last game. Which this is really sad because Bethesda, in my opinion, has made some incredible games, some incredible advancements in the gaming space, and has really worked on being one of those companies to set the bar of like, hey, the game is not going to be flipping perfect, but we make games that we enjoy building where you can play hundreds of hours around in. I mean, Skyrim is the most remastered game ever, with like 7 different iterations to the game to date. It is crazy. When you say Fallout, everybody knows what Fallout is. Oblivion with Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that is still one of the most fun and loved games of its time. And that was actually backwards compatible, which is sweet. I just wish it was kind of multiplayer. That's really what they're missing. Like, I know they tried Fallout 76, which did not do very well. But you know, well, you can't hit a home run every time, right, folks? But yeah, Todd Howard, his last game is likely going to be Elder Scrolls 6, which is slotted for probably a few years from now, maybe 25 or 26, but we'll see. Rockstar, what are you doing? So GTA 5 is gonna have, or GTA Online is gonna have a new subscription packages called GTA Plus, and in this service that you pay every month for, folks, you're gonna be able to have access to over 200 cars, which is wonderful. The problem is that they're taking these 200 cars out of the game and putting them behind a paywall. Isn't that flippin' disgusting? That is disgusting. So, yeah. Man, I can't even believe that. That's so nasty. And then, too, they also... I didn't even know this, because I don't play the online experience, really, because everybody was a D word. But they also have the Diamond Casino. And so here it's like kids are already getting addicted to something that is not good, and just running off of the emotions with managing money. And you got to use your head when you're using money and managing it. Otherwise, you're never going to have any. So folks are already learning bad habits with gambling, and that's not good either. That casino is in GTA. That's just my personal opinion. And then in the meantime, Red Dead Online hasn't had anything. That is just a dead game on its way to the graveyard, and I don't think Rockstar is ever going to touch Red Dead again, because again, it just doesn't produce as much money with the microtransaction stuff like GTA does. And now they're going to have a GTA Plus and take 200 cars out of the game and put them behind a paywall. Maybe if you get lucky, you can you can win one at slots at the casino, but I doubt it. Good luck, folks. So you just got another example of a further deteriorating game. And this also doesn't make me excited for GTA 6. The motives are different. Again, GTA 5 was 10 years ago, folks. And GTA 6, that's probably going to be coming in next year or in a couple of years from now. And I'm just not as excited about it because we've seen so many changes in the last decade in the gaming space where it's all about making money, making the least amount of content to get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's what these big companies are after, including Rockstar. I mean, GTA 5 was great. GTA 4 was great. Red Dead has been a fun series, but it doesn't make as much money as the Diamond Casino does. Yeah, it's disgusting, folks. So GTA 6, I'm interested to see what this is going to look like. Apparently, it's going to be the biggest ever, which I would hope it would be with the hardware that we have in consoles today. But how much of it is going to be procedurally generated? How much of it is going to be monetized? How big is the store going to be? All that stuff. I really have no idea, but I'm not as excited because I ultimately know that they're going to have these kind of trickery ways to get you to spend more money than just buying the base game for $70. EA is changing their name. EA Games is changing their name to EA Entertainment. So again, not a lot of people like EA. If you noticed, one of my little ghosts that I have for my Twitch and YouTube banner, I got Pac-Man. I depending on what you're viewing it on, you might be able to see it all. But yeah, Pac-Man is me, D-Tot, Don't Tread on Thee, and then the 4 ghosts are EA, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and freaking Activision Blizzard. And those 4 ghosts, in my opinion, deserve to go down. We need to have a type of clear button, reset button in the gaming industry, and actually let passion projects like Elden Ring and Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom and Hogwarts Legacy back into this space. That needs to be the norm again. I would love that. But yeah, EA is going to change their name to EA Entertainment. This is because they're going to want to get into more than just gaming. They're going to also probably want to get into shows and movies and other stuff too. And we already saw this in some of the showcases. If you're going to watch those, I did talk about this, where it's like it wasn't just about games, it was also about ads, and it was also about TV shows and movies. Which I'm not a fan of that. I'm a gamer. If I want to learn about a movie, I'll watch a trailer. But yeah, if I'm watching a game showcase, I expect it to be about games. Simple as that. Let's see, YouTube. In other news, YouTube is also planning this is disgusting, mobile and desktop games in their app. So, and remember, folks, YouTube is owned by Google, and they just canceled the Stadia, but this is going to be a new version of the Stadia, like Stadia 2.0. They already have the digital infrastructure, and I'm sure they already have the servers, and so YouTube is soon going to be having cloud gaming as a test, as kind of like a pilot program, and they're going to see how this goes. What the games are, no idea. Is this going to be a Game Pass competitor in the future? It could be. Could this also be a subscription service? It could be. We don't know yet. There's not a lot of details yet, but we know that the CEO that they just hired last year loves crypto. And I really hope my assumption is wrong on that. But again, if they're wanting to make NFTs or they're wanting to make some kind of crypto whatever crap, I won't be doing it, folks. I won't be doing it. Overwatch 2, since we love it so much, I keep talking about it. Overwatch 2, of course, as we know, is no longer going to have a PvE mode. They are now going to be having some missions from that PvE side that they made and keeping them in the game, which is great, but now they're putting them behind a paywall. And you're basically going to be paying $15 per season or bundle of these missions. And again, these missions aren't overly big. They take 15-30 minutes to complete, and you get a few of them. And it's basically going to give you an hour or 2 hours of gameplay. Some of these missions are going to be, quote, unique, so you'll be able to do them once and then that's it. And other ones you'll be able to grind through, kind of like Tiny Tina's Wonderland DLC, which wasn't even DLC. And, yeah, this is the way we're going, folks, for free-to-play. Yay. Can't even freaking imagine. And so, as these bundles or seasons continue to come out on Overwatch, you're going to have to pay $15. So they learned from Bungie with freaking Destiny 2, and they are going to super micro paywall the frick out of their game. And, man, this is just really getting frustrating. I'm going to need some blood pressure medicine, folks, because, yeah, I'm getting hot. Getting hot! It's making me upset. Let's see. On good news, if you are a Metal Gear Solid fan, this is huge. Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 is going to be coming out. This is going to be $60 on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and on Steam. What you'll be getting is Metal Gear Solid 1, also all of the VR missions. You will be also be getting the HD versions of Metal Gear Solid 1 or Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. You'll also be getting two more retro games of Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. This will also include digital graphic novels for Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, and I think Metal Gear. And then it's also going to include the soundtrack to Metal Gear Solid, which has 20 soundtracks on it. And so for $60, that is a lot of Metal Gear stuff for us fanboys and girls, and however else you identify. And man, I am super excited for this. This is going to be coming out in October this year, and so I'm really tempted to buy it because frick yeah, man, some of the best storytelling was in Metal Gear. Yeah. Again, a lot of cutscenes. Yes, I agree with some people. The cutscenes do... okay, you know, I played for an hour and I saw 40 minutes of cutscenes. Yes, the games are like that. And they're really bad in... 5 wasn't as bad. 5 was an open world, Phantom Pain. That was more open world, it wasn't as bad, but still there were a ton of flippin' cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4, and oh my word, folks, there's like 5 hours of cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4 alone. And 2, if you don't want to necessarily play the game, you can just hop onto YouTube and type in Metal Gear Solid, the number that you want, and cutscenes, and people have already streamed and linked all of these together, so you can just sit back and eat popcorn while you watch the show. Honestly, you can get all the storytelling right there. But yeah, this is going to be coming out in October. I'm super excited for this. It's really nice too that it's being on pretty much every single platform out there. This isn't exclusive, and I really appreciate that. We're also going to be getting Metal Gear Solid Delta. So this is a remastered or remake version, we don't know much yet, of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. And let me tell you, I mean, it was just cinematic, unfortunately, but it looked really flippin' good. It looked really good, so I'm excited for that, too. I don't remember if Delta is coming out for PlayStation or for Xbox. I think it's just PlayStation. So, bummer for me. Let's see, we're getting close to the end here, folks. Oh yeah, this was interesting. Xbox is saying that, they're not going to be investing in VR yet. So as we know, the MetaQuest 3 came out, $500. We also know that Apple now has their own kind of VR augmented reality headset, which is $3,200, if I remember right, which is insane. Who's got the money for that? We also know that Meta's the metaverse. I don't even know what to call it, folks. But basically, Mark Zuckerberg's fancy version of $1,500. His headset was announced last year as well, and then Sony has theirs, PSVR 2, which did not make good on sales, and they were hoping for 2 million, and they got closer to like 220,000. And so Microsoft was asked, and they said, no, we're not going to do this. The reason is because the games are not full-fledged games. The games are usually poor quality. They're very arcadey. And there's a reason for that. I'll get into that in a minute. And the other thing is that the market cap is not very big. So it'd be a lot of investment for not much return. So Microsoft is willing to wait on this. I do think eventually if the space takes off, they will make their own headset. But what a company needs to do is they need to make their own headset with a platform. So let me explain. So on Kickstarter, there's been some stuff that's been put out there that you could merge with like the Vive or the MetaQuest or whatever, is that you could link this stuff together and you actually had something to walk on. And this entire kind of platform, it's kind of hard to describe, but you'd put these little kind of like slippery booties on your feet, and then you could walk on this convex dome, this caved-in dome, basically, or lens, if you want to see it that way. And you could actually run in the game. So there's been some people that have done this with, like, Battlefield. I mean, they have the prop. They are freaking running in place on this platform with their VR headset on, and they are playing the freaking game. I mean, that is what we want. And let me tell you, it is as cool as it sounds. Way back in the day, probably 5-6 years ago now, a buddy and I, there was this place that opened up called The Void, and this started out in Utah and started branching out into some of the bigger cities in the United States, and one opened in downtown Disney in California. And so we drove we drove there, was in downtown Disney to experience The Void for 3-ish hours, and in downtown Disney, and then we drove back, and that was pretty freaking insane. It was basically 15 hours of driving each way, and it was a really fun trip. But what The Void did was that they had this kind of space that was designed for you to physically walk through and play what they called interactive theater. And so, yeah, give me a little bit. I'm trying to think about how to say this. So you'd walk into this room, and there's this rows and rows of racks with these rigs hanging there, and you would be fitted to your rig. The rig came with your VR headset. It also came with your battery pack, and it also came with rumbles and sensors on your vest, around your back and around your front, and that kind of thing. And then you were taken into this really teeny room, and this was fully immersive too. It also came with headphones that were connected to your VR headset, and the one that was playing was Star Wars related. And I mean, we completely went through this entire experience of infiltrating a base on Mustafar as Rebel Scouts. And it was so incredibly fun, folks. Oh my word. I mean, if they can get to even close to that level of VR is going to take off. I mean, yeah. There's no freaking doubt in my mind. Right now, with recession and how things are, and COVID didn't help either, these places are failing. They're closing down. There's been several companies that have closed already or have had to cut back certain locations, which is really sad. But yeah, this, man, it was so freaking good. I mean, it was like Ready Player One. It was like a pre-Ready Player One. It was so incredibly good. And like when I got shot with blaster bolts, I could feel it in my suit or in my vest. I could feel the hits from the stormtroopers. We actually walked into an armory where I totally freaked out because they had a gun rack there, and I'm a huge gun gun guy, 2A all the way, folks. And when I reached for the gun, I actually physically picked up something. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually there. So yeah, we freaked out in the armory for a while and just had a blast. And um, 2, the Void also simulated smells and they simulated temperature. And that was pretty incredible. I literally almost wet my pants at the end of the experience because Darth Vader showed up through some smoke and turned his lightsaber on, right? And then he is slowly, like, walking toward us, and we're just blasting away with our, E11s, and just... And he's blocking them all with his lightsaber, and he's actually disabling our props, our guns, and we could actually feel vibrations, too, in our physical gun prop, too. I mean, the elaborate was... Yeah, the amount of elaborate stuff that they did for the experience was the best immersion I've ever had in my life for a video game. And I can't wait for that to become normal. And Darth Vader got right up to us, and it was like, oh, we're dead! We're freaking dead! Like, we can't even do anything. And K2SO basically flew a freaking shuttle into Darth Vader and told us to get on and then got us out of there, and then that was it. Again, this experience was only, 15, 20 minutes. The cost was pretty reasonable. Basically double or triple the price of a theater ticket, depending on where you live. But yeah, that level of immersion for VR I'm excited for. The level of immersion in Ready Player One, I'm excited for that. But man, there's got to be a lot of advancements. It's got to be affordable, and I just think it's got to take time to get there. But yeah, when they can actually introduce props, when they can like Nintendo did with their stuff, which was great. When they can introduce props, when they can introduce being able to run and crouch in place, that will add levels of immersion that will make VR worth it. And then, Sony really headed this project with PlayStation 4, and also the Vive, and I forget the other one, but like these companies need to allow the devs to make full-fledged VR games. They're too arcadey, and they're games you play to fill your time, not actually to enjoy. So, yeah, until that happens, I don't think VR is going to take off. So anyway, that's what I had for June news. I'm sure this is a long one. Wow, 1 hour and 8 minutes. I'm so sorry, folks. So please be sure to go to YouTube at Gaming Garbage 22. Go to the community tab and look for the poll that I have running right now on how frequently you would like gaming news to happen on the channel. Right now it's once a month, but there's another option for bi-monthly or once every 2 weeks, and then once a week. So right now once a week is winning. But yeah, please do vote, folks. Please vote. So that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully, too, hey, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and like and share and sub to the channel and all that good stuff. I got Don't Tread on Thee on Twitch, and then I also have Gaming Garbage 22 on YouTube. And if you find me on one of these platforms, there's a link to the other one to get you directly there to make it easier to find. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Hang in there, folks. Keep trudging, and yeah, I know things have been tough for a lot of people, personally me too on some level, and but good things in our lives take work, and they're worth doing, and they're worth doing well. That's how we sustain them. So keep pushing forward, folks, and until the next time, I'll see you on the next one.